All right, welcome to the 2021 Audit Palooza. My name is Emily Orey. I'm the treasurer. This year, I'm going to try to make this as painless as possible, but it's really important to make sure all of our books are good to go so we can start this next year fresh. So I'm sure everyone has a lot of exciting ideas to make up for last year. The purpose of the audit is to make sure that everything was done correctly according to the Florida PTA National PTA books, making sure that we spent our money correctly with the purpose of spending it for all of our children instead of, making sure that there's no errors in personal spending or things like that. Basically, we're going to reconcile it. We're going to check the checkbook balance with the bank statements, assure that the membership that the association's finances are being managed according to best practices. And we're also meeting the IRS 501c3 and Florida PTA compliance requirements as stated in the bylaws. And we want to make sure all of our PTAs are in good standing, and that means we're required to forward our audit to the Florida PTA by August 31st. So the audit should be conducted annually after the 12-month fiscal period, which is July 1st to June 30th, required by the IRS. And when the treasurer resigns before the end of the fiscal year, the new treasurer should not take custody of the books, write checks, or resume PTA business until a full audit has been completed. And we also do audits when PTA funds are suspected to be missing. And the audit committee. So according to the bylaws, Article 7, Section 5, the executive board shall select the audit committee of 3 members or hire 1 outside accountant or professional auditor annually before the end of the fiscal period. The appointed committee members who were not signers on the bank account and should have not handled PTA funds during this period being audited. The treasurer submits all financial records and forms listed on the Florida PTA audit form checklist as soon as June 30th bank statement is available. So this is the form, the 990 form that every year needs to be completed for the IRS. It's the gross income, receipts, and expenses calculated on the audit must be reported exactly to the IRS on the form 990. All right, keep going.
Yeah, quick question. On that 990, I'm assuming that there's a signature. Is it clear as to who needs to sign off?
Well, I know personally this year with e-filing, your treasurer is the one that's submitting the 990 each year. So there might not always be a signature with e-filing, but your treasurer should have that information.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and for those, just a quick reference, for anybody that's under 50,000, it's going to be the e-postcard, super easy. The 990 in EZ will be for anyone from 50,000 to 200,000, and anyone over 200,000. You guys are extremely lucky, and you get to do the regular 990 in.
And that's an average of 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a really big year one year, and then maybe this year was not so great, if you do the average, you might be able to sneak away with not filing the higher one. And so when you're preparing for the audit, we use a checklist from the Florida PTA audit form to collect and organize the records and documents necessary for the audit committee. Remember that the auditors shouldn't have had anything to do with the books. And if anyone needs a form, if you're completing your audit tonight, they're on this back table. There's plenty. Please take one. So tips for conducting the audit: the treasurer doesn't need to be present, but must be available via phone to answer the questions that the committee may have. Have 2 or 3 copies of the blank audit form. Have pencil, pens, and a calculator available to use. And if you like, you can use an Excel spreadsheet. You can divide tasks among the committee members, and that will help you save time. So you can ask the treasurer to provide a ledger of all the year's transactions that clearly show the total revenue and total expenses. Have last year's audit available as a reference. And you will need the number of memberships for which the local unit paid dues to Florida PTA and how many members that you also, received memberships from. Ask the treasurer to provide login information for any accounts in case they're needed. And be aware of any outstanding transactions from last year as you determine the book and bank balances. Line 5 and line 8 must be the same, and the audit is not complete until then. If you have any issues with the records that are found, attach notes describing the issue and the committee's recommendations for addressing them in the future. And so this basically, if you're still trying to avoid COVID, since we are still worrying about that, here are several different instances how you can do your audit, while being COVID safe. And then after the audit, the president and both the incoming and outgoing treasurers must sign and date the form. And a signed and dated copy must be forwarded to Florida PTA and email to audit@floridapta.org. Gross receipts and income from the audit should be reported to the IRS on the Form 990. And the books and financial records may now be given to the incoming treasurer. The treasurer must present an audit report to the general membership to be adopted at the next general meeting. If you have any questions, my contact is up here, treasurer@SCCPTA.com. We also have our Florida PTA treasurer, which is treasurer@floridapta.org. And then if you have any compliance questions, it's compliance@floridapta.org.
Okay. And then we just had one comment in the chat from, looks like Shelly, that the 990 EZ is a super simple form online, and she put the link in the chat, and I will drop the link in the Facebook event that we did today too for everybody in person. Make sure you have that as well. She said the 990s should be printed out and put in that treasurer book for the next year.